GM. Welcome to everybody that's watching this video. This is the first I'm going to do in a series dedicated to a thesis that I'm working on for the study of psychology and specifically autistic spectrum or autism spectrum and psychotic disorders. And the reason why I'm doing this is to document for educational purposes, and in the event that I'm not able to attend school, I'll have a record of some of the work that I've accomplished. So this particular piece is on sociology. It's called Functional Access of Societal Change. And I'll just hold up some diagrams for reference. So this first is a matrix that shows the different domains and facets that a society can be developed into or is developed from. In an alternative organization, we have the same matrix with some different structure to it. And once I get familiar with PowerPoint, I will actually go ahead and put this into a format that people can access and download. I have published some of this information on a series of social media sites, and these two last documents or last diagrams I'll touch base on at the end once we've developed a little bit of a further understanding of sociology. Now, sociology is very complex because it incorporates elements of the intrinsic alongside with developed and nature, nurture, all those things that go along with it. Very difficult to say what a society is. There are many different types of societies, and they're all classes of societies, but function in very different ways. So what I've done here is try to analyze what components actually make up society and what components can be used to create a prediction modality, which is something I've sort of specialized in since I was a youth. I've been really focused on how DNA produces the psyche and the psychology related there too. So I'm going to read it verbatim. The document is I believe 5 pages long, and I will first show those to the camera, so anyone that wants to make a note or read for themselves can then go ahead and freeze, take a screenshot, and hopefully that's okay. I just realized I wasn't clear with the last documents. We'll come back to them at the end once again. So once again, this is the functional axis of societal change. Once again, you'll see these little matrices within the text. Once again, this has actually been published. If you check my LinkedIn, you can actually read it there now that I recall properly. So, the functional axis of societal change. Introduction. Presented here within is a theory as to the action of societal change and the manner in which functions of a given society are influenced. These organized into various domains, each comprised of 3 facets. These domains are further organized into systems, applicable standards, mechanisms of adaptation, qualifying coincidental, and planning and distribution. As a function of society, each is comprised of 4 domains, which define areas of management and can be represented as axes, each with a unique correlation, thereby forming a progressive framework. The applicable standards or primary domains include power, control, mobility, and wealth, the basic application of societal action. Secondary domain facets or mechanisms of adaptation are doctrines, unions, polity, and colleges. These organizations and or institutions of codes and order. Qualifying coincidental domains include training, experience, exposure, and necessity, all of which are learned and developed through basic living activity. Finally, planning and distribution is composed of the facet domains of allocation, development, continuum, and alterations. These each and all methods of disbursement of resources as well as expenditure management. So once again, we have the applicable standards of power, control, mobility, and wealth. Qualifying coincidental, training, experience, exposure, necessity. Mechanisms of adaptation, doctrine, unions, polity, college. Planning and distribution, allocation, development, continuum, alterations. The construct of a given society is dependent upon dominant managers of applications, these based and built on the standardized simplex facets of each applicable domain. Societal change comes through actions interconnected by the interaction of the domain axis, which organizes the correlative facets into triad action groups, forming a functional modality. Theorization. Production is not the central function of society, but an element of the greater concept of efficiency. The sole focus and purpose of society is the creation and maintenance of collective efficient function in one form or another, while mere productivity creates through causation patterns of consumption only. In producing efficiency, waste is eliminated, and a focus on sustainability replaces habitual and or convenience-based usage of resources. Through bargaining, managers of efficiency determine applicable usages, standardized methodology, mechanisms of determination, and coincidental disbursement, each an interconnection of domain types and a demonstration of how facets overlap. Collective efficiency is the interconnection that produces in society a harmonious balance, creating through purpose and function a homeostatic equilibrium of cause and effect, which brings about beneficial advantage and a conscientious community. It is that to which we strive, and that from which we've come. The ultimate goal of humanity is perfection. This begins with finding a means to, as a collective of individuals, efficiently produce and advance both the concrete structures of social action and the conceptual interests of an evolved civilization. It is through these means that an adaptation of society brings transcendence and substantiation of ethical practices. Through reflective resonance, a similar repetition in progression of a series of events, creating a mirrored happening as occurrence, this causing actuation of predetermined resultant consequence. Systems of usage as adaptation are formed with the expenditure of initial efforts, producing the manifestation of the eventual actuality. This in turn forms a coincidental convergence, alongside of and perchance with the coming together of opposing factors, whereby conflict and function are compared then contrasted, finally bringing about the determination of resultant consequence. The progression of this framework demonstrates these concepts as from axis to axis there is a development from basic to complex, with a structure based on familiar reasoning, id est, the functional model of evaluation of the psyche in psychology, and the basic constructs of a society in sociology.